standing here, and what we're going to do is something which is a little different. All of us are aware of issues such as corruption, issues such as female infanticide, issues such as rape, murder, all of these. But then, what Arjun and I, what we thought of, it was something deeper. We thought, what is it that is causing all of this? And hence, we thought that it was something, it's like a disease. It's like a disease which is spreading, it's contagious. And these are the symptoms. Symptoms are corruption and all the issues. But what is the disease?
Now we're all sitting over here because we have been diagnosed with the disease, not by any doctor or some person who's in front of us. We have inflicted upon ourselves this disease that we call. This disease is, it travels from person to person to person to person until it infects everyone. It's infected the world right now. God knows where else it's going to travel to. Now, this disease is called...
It's ignorance.
Okay, so when we talk about ignorance, ignorance is the very reason why all of us are still sitting here. All the things that bother us, like Raghu previously touched, corruption, rape, murder, everything has been going on since time immemorial, and it still goes on because we are
ignorant.
Yes.
So this is ignorance. It's inside all of us. It's something that fuels all the other issues. Now, in this workshop, we've learned something called stakeholders. All of us came, we met people who were less privileged than us, who were a little differently abled than us, and we realized, and at least for us, and I'm sure all of you, we were shocked at our own ignorance. When the concept of the stakeholder which came up, we thought that do we actually have a stake in their lives, or are we directly connected to them? And when ma'am had asked us if we did not meet these people, would we still feel that we're connected to them? So this connection is what we're missing. We ignore that there is a connection. And we tend to take it for granted. We take things for granted that it is not my headache that something is happening to someone else sitting somewhere else. But this workshop has taught us that we are all connected and we are stakeholders.
Now, carrying on through what he said about stakeholders and how far we've come with the concept of ignorance. Now, we hear something almost every day. We say that ignorance is bliss. What is bliss? Is bliss our little happy bubble, sitting at home, looking at the TV, not having any concern about our responsibilities, our prerogatives to the people out there on the streets who suffer indirectly because of us living, them living, their conditions, our conditions. It's how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, like we've been studying for the past 3 years. In every class, it's what we see, right? This little bliss is, it's making a gap which one day will not be able to be filled with even the deepest of oceans, and there will be a depth none of us can cover.
Now moving on to the second frame. See, now we are all aware that there's a disease, and I'm sure all of you realize that we've all been diagnosed with it. Right. So now coming to the second frame. Now when we think of what will the ideal situation be, will it be that all of us suddenly start understanding that connection, that so-called connection, that all of us are connected? Will it be that, or will it be something called
the utopian dream?
A utopian dream. Let's think about this for a second. All of us have our own dreams, our own ambitions in life. We all want to be portrayed as someone. We all want to be seen somewhere in society. But there are people out there who have dreams just like us, but they do not have the resources or the will, no, not the will, actually the support, the moral support, the encouragement which is needed to pursue them. All of us have dreams, and our dreams are connected. As John Lennon had said, a dream we dream together, a dream we dream alone is nothing. A dream we dream together is reality. So, if we try understanding this so-called connection, we will move towards that utopian society. We'll be able to bridge the gap, as Arjun had talked about, which the deepest oceans cannot fill. It is us. We have to start from here.
Now, it's called a dream because we think it's impossible. Fine. It's called utopia because we think it's impossible. Now, I can put this forth to you on a lighter note. Every time we go buy a shoe from Adidas, what we see over there, it says impossible is nothing. That isn't about a shoe or an athlete or some sports person, a Paralympic or whoever. Fine. It's something which extends into every little bit of our lives. That bit of our lives which will also, if activated, if that button is pressed, if we realize, if we reach that moment of attainment of that knowledge which will bridge the gap between us, it won't be a utopian dream anymore. It will be a reality. That reality where all of us can live together in harmony, equality. We'll see everyone happy, not because they're happy in a certain situation where they've been pushed into, not because you should be happy with what you have, but because you're happy because everyone is around you, caring, sensitized and sensitive for you. See, this utopian dream is not hard to accomplish, but when they say that two minds are better than one, they actually mean it. Like, we've all been thrust onto the earth, not by our parents. Everyone came with a destiny. As Kurt Cobain once said, it's better to burn out than fade away. Why not do something, leave an impact, bridge this deadly gap and leave with a certain mark which is not another carbon footprint on the planet. Fine. Now Raghu will go on with how to bridge the gap.
Now coming back to the third frame. So we talked about the current situation and how all of us have this so-called disease. But the good part is that we realized that we have this disease. And through this workshop and many other things, it's a conscious effort which we all have. Second is we realize what the utopian dream is. We need to have a connection. Now coming to how we're going to do this. All of us believe, or we have this so-called notion, and people have pointed it out, that one person, if one single individual stands up against a so-called system in society, how is that one little person or that one little effort going to change anything? Well, let me tell you, friends, if we stand together over here, right here, we can foster that change. The change starts from us. Should I go on and tell them the story? Alright, I'm pretty sure all of you will be familiar with my story in my so-called presidential speech. It talked about, it's a very short story. I know most of you are aware of it, but I think this is the right moment. So it starts like, there's this person, and he says, when I was a kid of 7 years old, he says, I wanted to change the world. And my possibilities seemed infinite. I thought I could achieve exactly what I wanted. And then when I grew a little more and I entered my teens, that possibility somehow felt restricted. I felt restricted by my own parents, by my own friends, and by people around me. Then, as I grew up and got married, I thought I would just change my country. But that too seemed immovable. And then, when I entered my twilight, as I grew even older, I thought I would just change the society, people who are next to me physically. But that too did not happen. Then when I entered my twilight years, I sought in one last effort to change just my family, those closest to me. But alas, they would have none of it. And now, as I lie on my deathbed, I realize, perhaps for the first time, that if I would have just changed myself first, and then, by example, change my family, and with their encouragement and support, bettered my community, my society, and with their help and support, who knows, I may have bettered the country, and who knows, I may have changed the world. So friends, it is here we start together as one. And now what Arjun and I have thought of doing is in our own little ways, we know all of us are restricted by studies, by pressure from parents, peer pressures, etc. But what we've thought is we create something like a blog.
Okay, now digressing from the blog a little, we all know who the current president of India is. Now, if I'm not wrong, he's from a small town in West Bengal. Mr. Mukherjee is from a small town in West Bengal, and one day he sat down with his sister and he was watching the Republic Day parade, and he saw that he saw and he told his sister that look at those horses, they're so majestic. One day I want to be the horse at a Republic Day parade. His sister in turn told him that, why do you want to be a horse? why not sit at the desk the horses are running for? And now we see him today. He had his dream come true and he had to work very hard for it. He is going to burn out and not fade away. Now, we're suffering from ignorance. The antidote for ignorance is awareness, and through the blog that Raghuveer has told us about, now the antidote is also wrongly put contagious, but it is contagious for a good cause. When you make someone aware, it travels. It travels and it negates the effect of ignorance. Ignorance travels in disguise. Awareness travels out in the open. Now through that blog that me and Raghuveer are going to create, what is going to happen is that out of the 6 billion people on the planet, 1.5 billion people on the net find every single day looking everywhere. There are free ads in all kinds of languages, translators. Fine. Now the awareness put forth through this mass is obviously going to go to the well-to-do people on the planet who are the 1.5 billion. Through that, obviously the awareness will be of a magnitude where they will realize, they will see that what me and Raghuveer have done today over here, how we are putting it forth to you, we will put it forth to them. They will also understand what we have understood in the past 3 days. They will use the antidote, they will spread the antidote out into the open where all the 6 billion people of the world today can see that the utopian dream is not just a utopian dream, it can be a reality. Thank you.